Hello and welcome to another video tutorial on understanding body language, lies, cheats and happy feet. So I'm not going to do a specific analysis at the moment. I've done 3 or 4 tonight. This will be the final one I'll do for a while. And it's all about the terminology I use for my videos. Now then, I get a lot of questions asked about what does this mean, what does that mean, in relation to actual kinesics and body language and stuff like that. So I'm going to run through a few of the terminologies that I use throughout my videos. So the first one I often talk about is timing and synchronization. So I feature that quite heavily in the videos I do because it's almost like the cornerstone of honest, truthful word usage and body language together working in harmony to create congruence. Basically, it's where the verbal communication and the non-verbal communication work together to give off the same message. So an example of poor gestural timing can be found with Ian Huntley here. Watch when he uses his arm gesture, his hands and his arms to point in the direction of somewhere, and then watch for his gestural timing when he forgets where he's actually it is. So watch this.
She used to teach them at St Andrews. I just said she weren't very good, she hadn't got the job. And they just says, please tell her that we're very sorry.
So watch for the arms.
Off the walk in the direction of the library over there.
Right. Okay, so you don't need to go through that. When he moves his arms in the direction of over there, he has to stammer and stammer, basically. So it's not all synchronized. If you're saying like you're going somewhere, you'll point to it and it'll all be nice and fluent. You'll have gestural timing basically. You'll say something and you'll point to it at the same time. So gestural timing is very crucial when we're looking at body language, because if it all flows, statistically 4 out of 5 times a person is potentially being truthful, and that's what we're after. So that's an example of gestural timing. Now that's also something called incongruent body language, is where one signal is giving off one thing and another signal is giving off something else. And generally it's actually the verbal that we lie about, which is the neocortex part of the brain, which is responsible for speech and language. And that's when we get ourselves muddled up with lies. And it's actually our limbic system, which is actually the honest part of the brain, which gives off the clues and the cues that we see daily, which betray us. So as soon as you can spot those, you're in a good position to spot honest and dishonest body language. So again, that's very interesting information. So the next thing I'll discuss with you is oculesics and eye movements. Now then, there's been a lot of studying suggests over the years about eye movements in association with up and right for a right-handed person being visually constructed imagery, i.e. lying. However, recent studies have suggested that 23 out of 24 peer-reviewed journals done by professors of psychology have rejected this thesis. So eye movement in an association for deception, up and right, up and left, is not true. It's inaccurate, and it's not a good or accurate method in detecting deception. So please bear that in mind. You can use it as an aid and a tool, but do not rely on that singular gesture for being associated with deception. When I'm observing body language in my everyday life, not just doing these videos, I keep an eye on oculesics, I keep an eye on movements, but I have more interest in your facial expressions and see what they're doing. Which takes us on nicely onto micro expressions, which I talk about quite a lot in my videos as well. So fleeting expressions of emotion. Some can be as fast as 1/15 of a second. So we've got 7 universal micro expressions, which can be found on my page. So you've got happiness, sadness, disgust, anger, fear and contempt. So keep an eye out for those flashing through people's faces. If you want to learn more about facial expressions, please click my page and we'll have a look at those. So that's another example there of terminology. So we've got oculesics, we've got facial expressions, and what's all else we can look at here as well. Let's have a look, see if we can spot something good. We've got Charlie Sheen, Alex Reid, Justin Bieber, David Beckham, Lady Gaga, Dynamo, the Magician. Okay, let's have a look at the lady who's accused Dominic Strauss-Kahn of rape. Let's have a look if we can spot anything, any terminology I use here. Now then, a gestural retreat.
Oh, you don't have to be sorry.
So what we've got an example here, these are illustrators. So we'll talk about illustrators, adapters, and other hand gestures. Now, illustrators are movements that go along with what you're saying. So an illustrator can show the size of something, potentially show the action of what you're talking about. So if you're telling me you washed a car yesterday, and I remind you of the story, instinctively with your hand, you should make an action that you were washing someone's car. Or if you were in a situation, let's say you were making tea for somebody, you might make the knife and fork gesture with the hands, or you might make some gesture which is indicative of food. Now then, so that's an illustrator, which is a good sign. So an increase in illustrators shows me that that's potentially honest what you're talking about. So illustrators are key. Adapters are something that make it difficult for us to understand what is happening. Now there is no use of adapters done by this lady here, because in my eyes, I think she's telling the truth here in this video. Adapters come in when we're trying to deceive somebody. So when you're talking, if I was to put my hands near my mouth like I'm doing now, I'm covering my mouth. So what I'm saying is not clear. And that's what adapters are. They make the statement you're giving off distant and unable to comprehend. So it makes it difficult for us to understand what you're saying. So those are adapters. Manipulators are very much like adapters, and manipulators are things that we give off when potentially we feel stress. So scratching of the head, hand to face gestures, touching of the neck, and just below the Adam's apple, especially on a woman. These are examples of manipulators. So we give off these when we feel stress. These are not indicative of lying, but it shows that there's brain activity which is causing our sympathetic nervous system to kick in, which elevates stress, heart rate, and makes us start touching with nervous energy. So those are manipulators. And the final one with gestures is emblems. So a gestural emblem is something almost as like a derivative of sign language. So gestures like this one, for instance, like I'm putting my hands up there, is a peace symbol. So in this country, in Great Britain, if I was to flash that, it would look like I meant peace. Or if I flash that in this country as well, or America, it means good, everything's okay, the thumbs up gesture is good. That's an example of an emblem. However, emblems are not universal, because I know, for instance, in Greece, that is an offensive swear word, and we've got other gestures as well, like that is an okay symbol. Okay, that is a gestural emblem, but it means something else in Japan. I'm pretty sure that means money in Japan. So if there's anybody from Japan or the Asia or the Orient looking, does that mean money? I need you to answer that question. So that's an example of emblems that we give off. Now, what about gestural retreats and stuff like that? Now, pretty much it's the age-old fashion that we step into things we like and we distance ourselves from things we don't like. And that's the same with body language. So it's a fight, flight, or freeze response, which is the autonomic nervous system. So if you ever see a statement and they're stepping back subconsciously, it's not a good sign. It means you've no confidence in what they've just said. So again, when you're meeting somebody for the first time and you get over the pleasantries, watch what they do next. If they step back after meeting you, they're not overly comfortable about you or not comfortable with the personal space that you're giving off. So we've got gestural retreats there. Again, moving back to things we've already discussed, like hand-to-face gestures. You see these any times there's potentially stress involved and stuff like that. So there we go. So just to recap the main points about emblems, illustrators, adapters, paralinguistics we've got to talk about as well, which is speed, tone, volume, and pitch of what we're saying. It's not necessarily the words that are coming out, it's more of how fast we deliver them. The speed and the tempo and the rate, which are all very interesting when it comes to analysing, detecting, truthfulness and evaluating deception. Because we need to know about why someone's speaking fast or why someone's speaking a bit slower. There must be a reason for that. There must be additional cognitive processing which makes us speak faster or slower to illustrate points and things like that. So when I talk about paralinguistics, it's all about the speed, tone, volume, and pitch of conversation, which again is very deeply important. So if you mix together all these things about facial expressions, about gestural timing, about eye movements, about body movements, about leg and foot position, speech tones, adapters, illustrators, manipulators, if you throw them all in, you've got a very good understanding of how the human body works. And when you know about people and you know about their movements, their baseline behaviours, you'll know when somebody is showing the hallmarks of honesty or deception based on all that body language. So if you do your research and you study people, then you'll be able to get as much information as I do out of these videos, and I'll be able to tell you what exactly is going on. Now then, bearing in mind, body language does not have all the answers. When I do analysis, I try and say that this movement suggests that this person may be feeling stressed or nervous or potentially lying. I do not give it as fact. So please bear that in mind. My videos are not factually based. They are my opinions and my suggestions of what's happening. Because if body language was all real and legit, then there would be, every crime would have been solved from here to Timbuktu. So please bear that in mind. The body language is just suggestive. My suggestions, my opinions based on the observations I see. So with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed that real video tutorial. Sorry I've not anything to analyse, but please check out all my other videos. They're pretty good. And I've finally hit 1,000 on my understanding body language page. So I'm actually trying to hit 2,000 now, and I'm still trying for 1 million views on my videos. So if you can help me with that, please let me know. So, from everyone here understanding body language, hope you enjoyed that real video tutorial, and any questions, please leave me a comment, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon. So, from everyone here, take care, and bye-bye for now.